I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? I've had so many people do this to me. I'm like, okay, is this like a new movement or something? I don't know. But we'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere. We have a wonderful show for you. So, starting a podcast can be challenging to say the least. You have so many different things that you have to do, so many, quotas you got to meet, so many, deadlines. And the biggest thing is the pressure to make the first few episodes so that at least you have a moment to kind of catch your breath. And I remember that moment when I started this podcast, and I have a guest on the show today. He is starting his new podcast, and we're going to talk to him today about why he's doing that. Because I don't understand sometimes why people do this, because this is like, it's challenging. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say, welcome, Jason Hardin, to the show. Welcome so much to the show, Jason. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Miss Diamond. I'm happy to be here. Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome. So tell me about yourself.
Well, my name is Jason Hardin, and basically, I've been through a lot of challenges. I've overcome cancer. I was diagnosed with esthsioneroblastoma at 6 months old. 6 months old, that was a tumor behind my right eye.
Mm,
That kind of left me, pretty much scarred for life. But I overcame that. The doctor said I wouldn't live past 3 years old. I did
mm.
live past 3 years old. That was actually 38 years ago. So,
Wow.
doctors don't know everything. They're good, but
No.
they don't know everything.
Mhm.
Um, but that wasn't I guess, hardest part. I grew up in the 80s. My parents were, caught up in drugs.
Mm.
My father used to shoot up heroin. My mother used to smoke crack. And I can remember when my father started smoking crack, and he thought it was an upgrade or a progress from shooting up, and he was actually proud of that. So these are the kind of memories I've had growing up. I was very had an unstable childhood. I went to 19 different elementary schools because my parents moved around from place to place and they weren't stable. My father had a lot of issues with the law, and I just never had that stability, and and I never had that confidence either. I never really had that confidence because I've had so much flaws and so many issues and challenges in my life. It was hard to be confident. It was hard to walk with my chest out and not be hollow inside, and
Mhm.
not be
Yeah.
easily brought down, you know.
Oh, wow.
And and I guess as I grew up, I started figuring things out for myself. I got into entrepreneurship because I've always had hustle. There was
Mhm.
hustlers in my family, and they hustled, a lot of jewelry and things, and sometimes, a lot of negative things. And
Mm.
I got into that for a little bit as well. But I've always had that hustle. I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, in junior high, I sold candy and condoms. Just because, and I wasn't even using condoms in junior high. And I didn't even know what everybody else was doing with them. I couldn't imagine people having sex. I was like a late starter, so
Oh,
and
wow.
I thought kids wanted to have them to be cool. But anyway, that's what I would do. Uh, I would go find these condoms they would have free, 'cause they would give condoms free at some organizations like Planned Parenthood
Oh
and
my
things like that. And
gosh.
I would sell them for like $3, $4, $5 each at school. And would also buy like airheads and warheads for like 10 cents, sell them for 25 cents. But like I said, condoms were a bigger business. And that graduated, like I said, that graduated to some of the illegal things for a little while. I had a mobile dispensary before they called it a mobile dispensary. Back when you couldn't just have one of those. And
Mhm.
but like I said, that entrepreneurial spirit was still there, and I always knew that I wanted to work for myself, but I also knew that I had to find something legit. And that took a while to find that.
Yeah.
And I guess me wanting to create this podcast is my gift to folks trying to find their way, because it took a while for me to find their way, and if I could have found my way quicker, I'd be much further along right now. And that's really what I want to help other people do. I want to
Mm.
help them, like, really cut the learning curve, really find out who they are, really develop that confidence, that love for themselves, and that healthy attitude of personal development so they can really create and live their own definition of success instead of
Yeah.
feel like a victim of all the things that happen to you.
Mm. Mm. We all have things that happen to us. Congratulations on living beyond the doctor's expectations. I mean,
Right.
like you said, they know some things, but it's called a practice for a reason, you know.
Mm,
But at the same time, you said you wanted to kind of teach people how to be that entrepreneur, how to be their own boss, literally.
mhm.
So, why now? Why not like in the past? What have you been doing since then that has led you to this point?
I think I have a lot of organization and a lot of self discovery. I've learned a lot about myself over the last few years. I've gotten to entrepreneurship a while ago, but I never thought I could teach it, and I never thought some of the things that I was doing were teachable.
Mm,
And some of the things that I was doing were just a reflex, I guess instinct, and I didn't think those was teachable skills as well. And as I got more progressive in my business and started building a bigger brand and getting involved in more people, it started to show me that maybe this isn't just a fluke. Maybe this isn't just my personality or anything like that. Maybe I'm actually uh, doing things in a way that is guaranteed to get results,
mm-hmm,
and I started to really explore that and then see what I was doing that was actually teachable, see what I was doing that could help people, I guess, develop the mindset
mm-hmm.
to put some of the actual physical practices in place because it all starts with the mindset. And I think
Yeah.
that's what it was with me. I think I had some skills without the mindset, and I had some mindset in certain areas without the skills. And I think as I developed over the last few years, especially over the last two, is I was able to put those things together. I was able to
Right.
finally understand how the mindset and the skills really go hand in hand, and not just understand that it does that, but actually how to teach it and help people understand it and identify within themselves.
Mm-mm-mm. It's hard to teach other people something that you don't really realize that you can teach. It's like,
Hmm. Hmm.
I thought that was like general knowledge there, and it's not. And it's, a lot of people tell me the same thing, why don't I teach? And I'm like, well, you don't know it.
Man,
It's hard. It really is hard. How did you figure out a method to teach what you thought was general knowledge?
I could say reading the things that other people teach, and and some of it that I could relate to, some of it's like this is common knowledge, but
Mm,
then it's a bestseller, so
I
those
know.
things together makes me believe like maybe it's not common knowledge, or maybe it's common knowledge and not common practice, and your spin or your perspective on the issue might be just that thing that help people take that action, or
Mhm.
help people understand that concept at a deeper level and be able to apply it to themselves.
Mm. I find that some people are just afraid of success, or
Mm,
maybe they're just afraid of failure. I'm not really sure which one, but one without the other doesn't exist. What do you
absolutely.
say?
I think both do exist. I think people are afraid or can be afraid of success because they're afraid of what success brings. Success exposes you, success will put you out there in front of people. And if you have insecurities, if you have other things that you're ashamed of, maybe you don't want that much attention,
Hmm.
and failure is the opposite, maybe you just don't want to fail. You don't want to, you're worried about what people think of you if you fail. You when you fail in the public eye, it's different than when you fail at home, behind closed doors. So some people don't want to take that leap of faith and basically be exposed. And I think that's that fear of exposure. People don't really want to own those challenges and own those failures. But for me, I think they're all just stepping stones.
Hmm.
Like I said, success is a lifestyle. So even if you succeed, it's not just a win. I don't see success as just a single victory or just that goal being reached. Success is every decision you made to get you there. It's that lifestyle. So and success is beyond that victory too. So it's the before and after. That moment of a
Mm,
win or a victory is just that point that's a byproduct of how you live every day. So that's
mhm,
really what I try to get folks to understand, that it's not just if you're thinking about that end result and that's the only reason why you're doing it, it's not really worth it, and you're gonna quit every time.
mm, mm. And that is so true. Quitting is more popular than succeeding because obviously, if it weren't, we'd have more people doing the things that they want to do in life. So, your podcast is geared toward making and helping people, I would say, become their own boss.
Yes. I think people are already their own boss and they just
Mm,
don't know it. People have, first of all, people have total control over themselves. People think they try to control everything else, or they try to control like other folks or their situations, and they really just have control over themselves, and they're not taking uh, full advantage of that control. They're not really exercising that control. They're not internalizing everything that they want to change in the world and starting with themselves. So that's pretty much the understanding that I have for it.
mm,
I want people to relate to that.
mm, mm, mm. It's hard. Some people can relate, but will they move? And that's what your podcast is about, to help people move and to actually live the life of a boss. That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Because
Mm-hmm.
like I said, just like you said, people are their own bosses, and I guess I want people to see it and take ownership of that. And the more people can take ownership of that and take that accountability, because I think just like me, for so many years I blamed my childhood, I blamed my past, I blamed my the fact that I had cancer and the scars and all these things, and it wasn't until I took ownership of all of that and realized that, okay, that might put me in this position, but that's not going to get me out of this position. That might, all those things might have given me this mindset, but keeping this mindset is all me. Keeping these failures, keeping these cycles up is all me. And I had to
Mm-hmm.
take that accountability and that ownership to change anything. And that's what the life of a boss philosophy is. It's not how well you control other people, it's how well you control yourself, how
Right.
well you manage yourself, how well you organize and dictate what you do, not
Mm,
other people. And you can, and you'll see that the more ownership you take over what you do, the more control that you take over yourself, the more things you can control or have the illusion of control of in the world. Because
mm-hmm.
one thing that you do is you end up teaching people how to treat you once you know how to care for yourself, once you take
Mm,
total control over yourself. And once you teach people how to treat you, then life gets different.
that's right.
And you can walk in a different way, and doors open up, and distractions kind of fade away, and because people don't want to bring some BS to you. I know I'm very unapproachable with BS. I'm an open person, and I'm very loving. But when somebody knows there's some bull, they're not going to bring it to me if they know
Right.
me or know about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what the life of a boss philosophy is.
I love
Just
that.
taking full control over yourself.
Definitely, definitely. Life of a boss. You know, it was a journey to get to where you are today. What have you learned so far about being, and living the life of a boss?
I learned that you have to control your emotions. I think our emotions play a big part on a lot of the mistakes we make, on a lot of the unnecessary actions we take. And I think that we have to respond to our emotions in a better way. And I think all that is really just mental health. I think that we have to double down on our mental health and pay attention to it, spot warning signs, speak on things, you know, uh, uh, talk to people, get counseling, whether that be group counseling, individual counseling. But I think we have to really double down on the way on the way we understand things and the way we see the world,
Mm,
and how we react to those things.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. We should be slow to anger.
Yeah,
And be
absolutely.
quiet, because even a person that's quiet can seem wise. I think that is, I mean, listening is a big response and a big thing to actually growing. And
Mhm.
mental health is a big deal nowadays. I don't think
Absolutely.
it was really not a big deal. I just think that phones and cameras and just all of this just brought it to light is basically what it is, because it's always been there. It's always been there.
Absolutely.
So, life of a boss is basically your way of teaching people how to overcome whatever it is that they need to overcome. Maybe failures that they've had, maybe being afraid of failing, because, success doesn't come without failure. Being
Absolutely.
successful, getting through certain things. So, that is amazing. I love that. I love
Thank
that.
you.
I love that. Wow. Wow. So, okay, so have you launched already?
No, we launched October 1st.
Mm,
And that'll be on all platforms, on definitely on the website lifeofaboss.net, but it'll also be on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get podcasts. It'll launch so many places. I can't even list them all. But
yeah.
that will be the official launch, and there'll be two new episodes a week. Um, it was funny what you said about podcasts and creating one and getting some episodes done. And it's important to stay consistent. So for anybody
Mhm.
that wants to create a podcast, the way you separate yourself is really consistency. If you're
Mhm.
doing it just for the ratings and just for that instant reaction and just to get those few likes on that first day or those listens to on the first day, you're gonna fail.
Oh yeah,
you know, you have to be there for that one person that's listening every week if that's all you got. But
definitely.
so I'm starting. I'm trying to do 2 episodes a week, and I've already gotten over 40 episodes already recorded.
Mhm.
I'm trying to do it the right way.
Right.
And really be organized because, like you said, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of clutter out there. But
Mhm.
if you're authentic and you're consistent, I think you can overcome all of that.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Well, congratulations on your upcoming successful podcast. It's launching October 1st, 2021. If you're listening before then, great. October 1st, lifeofaboss.net. Okay. What kind of suggestion do you have for the person that is trying to actually start a podcast?
If you're trying to start a podcast, I think know what you're talking about. Know really what you're really trying to present and what your message is. I think, excuse me, I think that if you have a clear message and a story that you want to share, you can keep creating content. You can create a million podcasts if you have a clear definition. But if you don't know what you want to do, you're always going to run out of ideas. If you don't have that message, you're always going to run out of ideas.
Yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
so I think that's the key to consistency. So if you don't plan to be consistent, I don't even start the podcast.
Yeah.
Don't even start it.
Definitely. And consistency is the goal, because let me tell you something, this is work. It's not all funny games.
Absolutely, absolutely. And however your process is, and that's another thing, create a process. Like if you're trying to be consistent, create a process that creates consistency. Whether
Mhm.
that's recording multiple podcasts or multiple episodes in a day, so you don't have to literally record live or right before you're airing. So give yourself that wiggle room and set yourself up for success.
Mhm.
Make the most of these times in between episodes by creating a bunch of episodes,
Mhm.
creating content, and then make the most of each content. If you're creating an audio episode, put a video with that and shoot it out, and then chop that up, put some on your Instagram, put some on your Facebook. Make the most out of each piece of content.
Yeah.
And I think that helps you cover your bases. It helps you reach bigger audiences, and it builds your brand. And ultimately,
Definitely.
I think that's what we want to do.
Definitely, definitely. So, Jason, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Lifeofaboss.net, October 1st, 2021 is launching. You need to be on that podcast. You need to be listening to that podcast if you want to be your own boss, like me and like Jason.
Thank you. And I definitely need you on my podcast, Yaya.
Oh, thank you. I will be there. How about that? I don't do
Thank you.
many, so you just have to let me know, because we do that.
Absolutely.
We'll do that later.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you again so much for being on the show. I appreciate you. And lifeofapodcast.net. No, I'm sorry, lifeofaboss.net, life of a podcast. Yeah, that should be a podcast too. The life of a podcast. Okay, lifeofaboss.net is coming out on October 1st. Don't forget to actually subscribe to that. You can go to lifeofaboss.net. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Dream Chasers Radio. And until next time, guys, don't forget to dare to be different and be different all the way, not just a little bit. All right, we'll be back with another episode, of course. See ya.